and welcome back to the Constitutionals Podcast. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premier podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. Welcome in episode 324. We are back doing a giant show with close to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stories. Some of them are mostly the same. Maybe I should just pull one of these off. I'm going to pull one of these off. There we go. Yeah, that was a lot. Ah, shit. Hold on. We'll see where this goes. I don't know. Maybe we should do that. Oh my gosh. Hi. Welcome back in. I'm sorry. I should have done this before. I was reading, quite frankly, I saw a story pop up as I was opening up a new tab. Something about Paramount, them pausing some major events. And I go ahead and read, and then it's, it's something I thought I could throw into this week's episode of this show. What's been going on? I don't know, nothing much. What's going on with you? I started a new show. It's The Pit on Max. It's the Noah Weil or Wiley, I don't know. That show, I was not going to watch it, and then I kept saying every time I opened Max, because my new thing now is when I'm working out at home, which is just I'm on the treadmill or I'm on the bike, is to, if I can't find a movie. Last Saturday, I watched Unknown, the 2011 movie starring Liam Neeson. I love a Liam Neeson movie. Oh my gosh. I prefer a Liam Neeson semi-action movie, because that's what they are now, because he's so old. I know I've mentioned this before. Straight to streaming movie, you give that to me, baby, oh baby, I'm having a good time. Love it. So I watched Unknown, but I've also been working my way through Gotham. I wanted to, I've seen every, have I? I've seen 95% of the DC shows. I've seen 95% of every live action DC Comics TV show. I still have to watch a lot of Smallville, a show I own digitally on iTunes, unfortunately. So I have to watch it on Apple TV. And I love The Flash. When The Flash came out, oh my God. And Arrow, I was so all in. And Legends of Tomorrow, I missed a lot of Supergirl. I watched the first 3 seasons, and then it fell off for me because I just didn't care enough. But I popped back in for, when they had Crisis and all that stuff. And then I did not see the Gotham Knights is the game. I don't know if the show they did after Arrow that followed the daughter of Arrow. Also I started watching on Disney Plus that new Spider-Man show. Oh my God, it's great, and I like that they're taking a different approach, which is fantastic. In the same way that Gotham is a different approach. I mean, I just take a different. I don't want to see the same stories over and over and over again. That's my big issue with these superhero movies today, is that you're seeing the same thing. I don't care if Avengers Infinity War or Endgame did a time travel thing. I don't care if Tom Holland's Spider-Man meets up with the other 2 Spider-Men, even though I did like that movie. I don't care if Zack Snyder's Justice League is 4 hours long and it makes the original movie better. Well, actually, that one's different. That one's different because it does tell a different story. So I was wrong about that. But I don't care if the Suicide Squad is, doing whatever. I want something different. And this new, your amazing neighborhood friend Spider-Man, is that what it's called? I think it's very fun, and I think it looks great. I love this art style. You have to get used to things. My biggest issue with this entire show is right before it premiered, I think last week, the main voice actor for Spider-Man said the word Hudson Thames, and I will never forget this. He said, "I hope it's not too woke." He was afraid it was going to be too woke. He didn't say those words, but he's afraid that the show. He did use the word woke. He did say he was afraid the show was going to be too woke and that people wouldn't watch it. My man, you are working on quite possibly the next biggest superhero show. You're in the biggest superhero property. Who cares? People are going to watch it. Don't say something stupid like you fear that it's too woke. Yeah, there's a Black Harry Osborn. Yeah, it's great. It's awesome. Just shut up. Do the job. I'll be Spider-Man. You want to be Spider-Man? Hey, I got gas canisters to shoot my webbing out. Look at me. Anyway, I think it's a fun show. That's pretty much it. I think those are the only two things I started. I also watched Am I Okay? Starring Dakota Johnson. It's a wonderful movie. That's a great, cozy watch. And that didn't turn out to be what I thought it was going to be, which is excellent because it's Tig Notaro and her wife, Stephanie Allen, were the ones who directed it. I don't know if they wrote it. They probably did too. I'm not going to check. And that's it. I haven't beaten any video games. That's it. I got nothing else going on. Maybe something will pop up. Hey, speaking of video games, this comes from Engadget, written by Chris Holt. Netflix scuttles plans to add 6 previously announced games to its service. Netflix Games has been, ever since they've made a games division, they've purchased companies, they've purchased whole games. They've, like Oxenfree 2, and on the original Oxenfree. They purchased rights to put out definitive versions of games like Dead Cells and the Grand Theft Auto, Vice City, San Andreas, and 3. But as they have learned, game development is so difficult. The company has canceled release plans for 6 games that were previously bound for iOS and Android through its platform. If you don't know, you can go to Netflix. If you subscribe to Netflix, you get access to a litany of games. Some games are just straight up mobile ports. There's Sonic Dash, I believe, is the only game I have downloaded to my phone. But there's a Sonic Dash one. There's, let's see, I'm scrolling through. I would show you, but my name is tied to the account. There's Civ 6. There's Exploding Kittens, Into the Breach, things that are based on their shows like Sweet Magnolias and Stranger Things games. And then, of course, there's, like I said, there's Dead Cells. There's like actually good games there. Dead Cells, Katana Zero, Cut the Rope. But making video games and acquiring video games and that upkeep is so expensive. This is first reported by What's on Netflix. Games like Thirsty Suitors, which you can play on PC and on console. I've been playing it on Xbox. It's a great game. Is no longer going to be on the service. Compass Point West, Tales of the Shire, a Lord of the Rings game. Oh, no. Don't Starve Together, which is a pretty big game. Lab Rat and Rotwood. A Netflix spokesperson confirmed the decision to Engadget, noting that nixing the planned additions was, quote, just a natural part of adjusting our portfolio as we learn more about what our members like. Guess who's outside? My neighbor's dog. I think he's barking at Nova. Because the cat's outside. It's unfortunate that, I don't know why they wouldn't want to bring a game like Don't Starve or Thirsty Suitors, because both of those have been, here's my barometer of what makes a big game. If it's popular enough to warrant a review from a company like IGN or GameSpot or Eurogamer, just like a big publication is going to review it, and or if it's just talked about online relentlessly. And I'm not somebody who hangs out online much anymore, so I'm in the former camp. And like, hey, if I see that Thirsty Suitors has been reviewed by an IGN reviewer, because IGN does not review games, IGN reviewers do. If I see that has happened, that makes me want to go check it out even more. That's why I finally checked out Balatro. That's why I finally bought Balatro. Because I saw this review and I was like, what is Balatro? Then I Google it and people have been talking about it for years, for months, excuse me. But gaming is difficult. They removed several games from their library, and Netflix did. And in October, it was announced that they shut down a AAA studio which was called Team Blue, and no one had known. Leanne Loom, an executive who helped bring the likes of Hades and Grand Theft Auto to Netflix's library, while leading second and third party development and publishing efforts, recently became the head of games at Annapurna Interactive, following an exodus there. Yes, Annapurna, the movie production company. They've done games like Telling Lies. They've done games like Flower, Donut County, Ashen, Gone Home. A lot of these I have played. I think I beat Gone Home. I think I also watched someone play Gone Home. That was one of the last times I watched somebody. No. I did not. I used a walkthrough. That's what happened. Because I wanted to 100% it. Oh, how sad is that? I used the walk. I don't knock a walkthrough. I love a walkthrough. In fact, I'll be very upfront about this. God of War Ragnarok has been out for 2 years. Prior to that, God of War, the 2018 game, I've owned it for, let's say, it's 2025. I owned it for ever since it came out, more or less. In the last 2 months, I've sat down and said, I'm deleting this game from my phone, from my PlayStation. I need to beat it. And I've just been looking at, I walked through the entire time, scrolling through, looking at videos. I'm just like, all right, come on, I got to get this done. I'm almost done. It's a great game. I love the story. The characters are great. The controls are a little iffy. But man, once you play, I really enjoyed God of War 2018. I am doing this so I can go play God of War Ragnarok. But once the game God of War 2018 looks so daunting because it appears to be this big open world game, and it is. It's an open world thing, and you can go do whatever. There's side objectives and all that stuff, but there is clearly a main story. Which also, I hate the map. And the map makes it look like there's so much more to do, but you're more or less, there's like 3 or 4 or 5 paths, and you can only go down those paths. And so it feels like an open zone game, much in the way of the new Sonic Frontiers, which is a game I also want to play. But anyway, I don't know why I'm talking about this. There's a lot of games on here that I played from Annapurna. At 12 minutes, I beat 12 minutes. The Artful Escape, I beat that. Neon White is a game I own twice over, and each time I pick it up, I don't know what to do anymore. I downloaded Neon White on my Steam Deck, played it for roughly a week, and then I said, I'll keep coming back to this, and I never did. And every time I pick it up, I go, I don't know the controls. How do you jump? You have to hit this thing. Oh boy, I'm 15 minutes in, and I still I've spent way too much time on that first story. This next one comes from Alex Weprin and Etten Vlessing at The Hollywood Reporter. Fox Corp soars to big quarter fueled by election spending and live sports. So Fox Corp, which is the owner of Fox Broadcasting as well as Fox News, the big takeaway from this story is that they are we got what was this Q4 results from 2024. They're trying to show, really kind of bolster up and show advertisers and prospective people who want to spend time with the Fox family what they have to offer. So before this Super Bowl game on February 9th, they're talking about, how many millions of dollars of ads ad time that they have and everything like that. But and what shows and movies that they're looking forward to, coming out on their platforms. The thing is, let's go back to that word, platform. Rupert Murdoch's company is looking to finally put out a streaming product. Now, before I talked about Venu, which was the service that Fox Broadcasting, Warner Brothers Discovery, and Disney were all going to create together a streaming platform to put sports out. They were sued by Fubo TV, delayed a year and putting out Venu, the streaming platform, which is going to gather all of their sports assets together, sports broadcasting assets together, as well as regular channels into a cable-like product. And then Disney bought Fubo. And then basically everybody kind of just disbanded and was like, we're not going to do this sports streaming thing. I lost the quote I was going to read. Murdoch's like, hey man, that Venu stuff, we were just playing. We're putting all our money in on Tubi, and we're going to jump in on this streaming thing that is also not Tubi. Fox Corp has so far kept mostly free of a competitive streaming arena, except for launching its free as-reported streamer Tubi. Murdoch gave few details on content and brands destined for the new DTC service, which is direct-to-consumer, but he added the overall package will, quote, be holistic of all our content of sports and news. So at some point in the next year or two, you're going to see the Fox streaming app. You're going to see, and on that platform, you'll probably see Fox News stuff. You'll probably see, well, not Fox News stuff. You'll see Fox News. You'll see Fox News things. You'll see the Fox broadcasting shows. You'll see shows like Animal Control and Gordon Ramsay things. I can't think of other shows besides Animation Domination. But those shows also live on Hulu. And oddly enough, a lot of them, including just Grimsburg and Crapopolis, their first seasons are available on Netflix, which I think is a great strategy for Fox to do, for Fox Broadcasting is, hey, let's, the latest season can live on Hulu, which is what they should do, but also let's put on Netflix on the biggest platform in the world. Murdoch argued Fox Sports content will continue to be distributed across multiple platforms, including linear TV, cable, digital MVPDs, and Fox's own direct-to-consumer services. The goal, he added, was Fox protecting its traditional linear TV services while expanding its reach in streaming, where advertising dollars are increasingly flowing. The same thing can be said about, Disney. We're going to see more about that. Oh my gosh. We're going to see more about that in a second. But Disney, even though Disney and Warner and every other company, Paramount, they're seeing at NBC Universal, they're seeing decreases in people on linear. You still have to provide something for that platform because a lot of people still don't have streaming, or they rely on one or two streaming services as opposed to 8. This next bit comes from Ryan Christoffel over at 9 to 5 Mac. Disney teases ESPN streaming service with new details and an early fall launch. The reason I bring this one up is because Disney's CFO Hugh Johnston talked about the Q1 results of Disney, and he says, on top of a lot of things about them being very value focused, this is on Squawk Box. I linked to the video because one of these articles it did not. They mentioned it. They're going to essentially more or less streamline the Disney offerings, the Disney family of streaming apps. Let me start with this first article because I just opened up a third one. ESPN, here's what he said about this is what this Disney company and Bob Iger had to say about the ESPN streaming service. ESPN's flagship offering that will launch in early fall has been and remains our priority. We expect the elevated product and content experience, which will all be housed within the ESPN app, will be a digital destination for sports fans, unlike anything available in the marketplace today, with the full suite of ESPN's networks and ESPN Plus, and highly interactive and personalized features. What I take that to say is ESPN Plus will not be that product. They're going to have to sunset that. Probably within the next couple of months, we'll learn more about that before the ESPN apps, because you can't remember when HBO had HBO Go and HBO Max. It was wait, it had HBO Go and HBO Now. HBO Go and HBO Now. And Go was the one you could subscribe to if you didn't have cable, and Now was the one that you had if you did have cable. And then eventually HBO Max became that one product, which was insane. Which is like, it was so stupid that those two things existed. Whereas now, I fully expect if Fox releases their streaming app that it will have, the everything that you can go to. I wouldn't have to pay for two different things, which I would never pay for a Fox streaming app. But anyway, I take that to mean that ESPN Plus will go the way of the sword and just die, and ESPN, the streaming app, will be the replacement. And I see it as something, I don't know the pricing. Obviously, we don't know the pricing yet. I can only assume it'll be above $15, because Disney can't do that. It'll be above $15, and maybe it'll be maybe and with that, there's two options. Because there has to be above $15 because you're paying for a cable channel plus all this other stuff on ESPN Plus. So with that in mind, the other issue is with the Disney bundle, it's already $26 or $28, however much it is. That's going to go up in price too. So I fully expect all of that everything's going to be so expensive by fall. It's going to live within the ESPN app, though, is what they're hinting at. And launch timing would be early fall, so like late August, maybe early September. This is all from 9 to 5 Mac. Highly interactive and personalized features. Oh, so a lot of betting. So all of that said, there's the idea that the streamlining of the apps is coming. Now, the person that watches ESPN doesn't necessarily watch Disney Plus. I'm sure there's people out there who go, I just want to watch college basketball, and I want to watch basketball, regular NBA basketball, and I want to watch baseball, and that's it. And football, and that's it. I don't want to watch anything else that's not sports. I want to see First Take and Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Is that a show? I know that's a show somewhere. I want to watch Mina Kimes. I don't want to watch anything else. But then there's people in their home or people in their family that are like, hey, I want to see the new Spider-Man show. I want to watch this new stand-up special on Hulu. And so they have to have the Disney bundle, or they have to have ESPN Plus and Hulu, or ESPN Plus and Disney Plus. And it's all, but with these new tiles on the Disney Plus app, if you subscribe to the whole Disney bundle, you get the ESPN Plus offerings. You get all of Hulu. All of it's on Disney Plus. And apparently more than half of the people who have the Disney bundle watch everything through the Disney Plus app, which makes sense because it's all there. It's so funny. And I'll get to this article in a second from the Wall Street Journal, but it's so funny how, let's forget the whole, we're all subscribing to these things and it's going to be like cable again. Forget that. It's so funny how these companies, like Warner Brothers, for instance, they'll say like, they'll take away shows and movies off of the Max platform and put them everywhere else so they can make more money. But their reasoning to the consumer is, we don't want you to get confused. We don't want you to get we don't want it to be so it's so hard to find something on Max. I would rather, as somebody who watches something, not as an artist, not as a creative person, I would rather have something available for somebody to watch on Max, on Netflix, on Disney Plus at all times, and rather than not have it there, because that way I can go, oh, New Girl is on Hulu. Let me watch, or let me think something else. The Penguin is on Max. Let me watch that. I put it off for a couple of months. Let me watch that. Stranger Things is on, I can't think of another show. Stranger Things is on Netflix. Let me watch that. As opposed to, oh, Stranger Things not on Netflix. Oh, it's on Paramount Plus. I don't have Paramount Plus, and I can't, so I'm not gonna watch it. Or like, oh, it's just not. I'd rather. But as a creative person, you don't want it to die in the ether of Netflix, but you still want it to be somewhere. This comes from Isabella Simonetti over at the Wall Street Journal. Disney to centralize streaming offerings within Disney Plus. We knew this was coming. This is something that from the moment they said there's going to be a Hulu tile on Disney Plus, I went, oh, well, when is Hulu going to be sunsetted? And maybe the Hulu name will live on, but in 5 years' time, Disney Plus will be the app. It'll be Disney Plus. It'll be Netflix. It'll be Max. If they're smart, it'll be HBO Max. After years of heavy investment in streaming, the company has implemented more cost controls and fine-tuned its approach. It is now betting that Disney Plus is the best way to centralize its portfolio of sports, news, movies, and TV shows. CFO Hugh Johnston, Finance Chief Hugh Johnston said of Disney Plus in the Wednesday CNBC interview. This is why I linked to this interview. It's going to be the portal into all things Disney. I'm trying to find his exact quote because you know what? That's the issue. I found a different article. This is why this is so bloated. I found a different article about what he exactly said, and they didn't link to the CNBC interview. They didn't link to anything else. And I was like, is this true? So I had to watch the entire CNBC interview. But yes, he did say that they are centralizing everything in Disney Plus. Disney sees its vast portfolio of live sports and live programming as a competitive edge, Bob Iger said. For sports fans, quote, it's about sports every single day, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. They're going to be doing new live sports shows that will be exclusive to Disney Plus, including a daily episode of a popular show, Sports Center. It aims to launch a new ESPN direct-to-consumer service. Obviously, blah, blah, blah. Okay, that's crazy. That a new daily episode of Sports Center. You don't need more of that. But the new live shows exclusive to Disney Plus makes sense because they're doing that with Family Guy. Family Guy was Hulu. They're doing that with The Simpsons. They're doing that with I don't like the idea of exclusive things like that. However, if it allows Family Guy and The Simpsons and Bob's Burgers to continue to live on, then so be it. Same thing for that the SNL 50th concert. Look, if that means that SNL can last another 50 years, they're like, all right, fine, why not? Iger said Disney is in a position to add streaming subscribers and improve the unit's profitability in coming years. They did lose a bunch of subscribers, but also Hulu sustained subscribers. Disney Plus lost subscribers, but Hulu sustained those. It's crazy that the numbers, what they tell you. Like, hey, we lost a bunch of money, but also we got a bunch of money. So it's kind of cool. Where Disney Plus is going to be the thing that everybody watches, and we can say Netflix is the true leader, but Disney Plus feels like it's the pure one. And I don't know, man. I think the writing was on the wall for Hulu when Disney Plus added that tile. I think there is room for Hulu to live, but they just want you to stay. For Hulu to live on its own. But what this appears to be is they want you to stay on that app as long as possible. If I'm on Netflix and I'm scrolling through and I'm done watching Pokemon Horizons, and it tells me, hey, you might like these shows below. And I go, no, I don't want to watch anything else. And I back out of that episode. I back out of the credits. I back out of the to the main feed. And then the main feed's like, hey, because you watched, Orange is the New Black, here's 40 other shows that you might like. And go, oh, well, there's this show. Like, oh, let me click on this show. And then what's the trailer for this? And it makes you stay on the app longer. And the same way for Disney Plus is like, hey, I'm watching. Let me go watch How to Die Alone. It's on Hulu, on the Hulu tile, okay? then let me back out the Hulu tile and go, oh, wait a minute, there's a hockey game on. Let me go to ESPN. You don't have to go to different apps, and you're not going to be distracted from watching something else by watching something else. But keep in mind that all of this costs money. This comes from Eric Hayden over at The Hollywood Reporter. Disney lowers content spending estimate by $1 billion for this year. You know, it's interesting. I said, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a couple of stories, and I have to move them to next week. They'll be relevant then. Trust me. Disney, like Apple, wanted to spend so much money on streaming. Then the pandemic hits, and we hit a streaming bubble, and a streaming bubble pops. And then they realize after these strikes, oh man, we're spending way too much. And we can do so much less with so much less. They're going to spend $23 billion instead of $24 billion for produced and licensed content, as well as sports rights. And sports rights cost a lot of money. In November, Disney said it expected to spend $24 billion, but now they're taking it down to $23 billion. In terms of cost cutting, this comes from CFO Hugh Johnston. As a company, we're focused constantly on identifying opportunities where we're spending money perhaps less efficiently and looking for opportunities to do it more efficiently. Less is more. As of December 2024, Disney Plus core subscribers stood at 124.6 million, while Hulu sat at 53.6 million, which is a gain of about 10 million over the course of the year for Disney Plus and 4 million for Hulu at that time. They're happy with the sub numbers for Disney Plus and Hulu. Even after, this happens after, they raise prices for both of those, for the entire life of the things. The content spending is interesting, especially considering Mufasa the Lion King is a completely original story. Is that true? Yeah, that's an original story. Yeah. Mufasa is an original story because it's telling the story of Mufasa and Scar. Yeah, I've never seen that because the Lion King... I'm going back to the cartoons. It was Lion King 1.5, and then Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. Lion King 1.5 told a story about what Pumbaa and Timon and Pumbaa were doing during Lion King 1, and they also did commentary, like MST3K. And then Lion King 2, Simba's Pride was about Simba and Nala's child, and then how she fell in love with a brown tiger or a brown lion. I don't know. But it's interesting when you have something like that. And then also Moana 2, which started out as a TV show, as confirmed by Rose Matafeo on this very show, on this very podcast. And then they just added it. They didn't just add it, but they threw it together into a movie. A movie that... I don't pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes or anything like that, but I looked it up yesterday. Yesterday. I was on the Moana 2 Wikipedia, and I scrolled down to reaction, and I see it had like a 60s. Oh, whoa, that's crazy. I enjoyed it. I have one issue, and it's that I'm pretty sure in the "Can I Get a Chi-Hu" song from Dwayne Johnson, in the movie, they replace the saxophone solo with a in the CD or the soundtrack. When you listen to it on streaming services, they replaced what sounds to me in the movie like a saxophone, like a synth saxophone. They replaced it with straight up synth, and it sounds so different. I tried to A/B it, and it did not sound the same to me. We're in this post-strikes world where movies like Wish and the Marvels did not do well. Everything has to hit, no matter what. There are things that analysts see, that big companies see, that the consumer does not, apparently. And I don't know, maybe, excuse me, maybe it's, is Disney going to be Disney, Warner, Paramount? Are these companies, NBC Universal, are they going to be able to not feed us the same thing over and over again and actually give us things that are different, but also are things that we want? Are the next Avengers movies going to be as big as Infinity War and Endgame now that we're 30 movies in? Even look at the next Jurassic Park movie. You watch that trailer with Scarlett Johansson and the rest of that cast, who I don't know, I can't remember anybody else. But you watch it with Scarlett Johansson and you go, is this going to give the same itch that Jurassic World, that trilogy, made so much money? Because it did the nostalgia thing. It was the big blockbuster thing. And it had, at the time, one of the biggest stars in the world. And the beautiful Bryce Dallas Howard. The gorgeous, beautiful Bryce Dallas Howard. But can they recapture that same thing with Scarlett Johansson, who is, yes, arguably one of the biggest stars in the world, but can they capture that again, even though critically the Jurassic World movies were just gray? Will $1 billion in content spending, will that be the difference? Will that be the difference from, them buying the rights to a new IP? Because it has to be IP. Will that be the difference from them making more shows or doing bigger, bolder projects, even if they are helmed by who are those brothers? Who are those guys? Oh, Jesus. Avengers film series. The Russo brothers. I want it to be known. I typed in Avengers film series. And before I scrolled down in Google and it said directors Anthony Russo, Joss Whedon, Joe Russo, I said the Russo brothers before. There's one coming in 2026. There's another one coming in 2027. Oh, you know what I would love for these movies that are part ones and part twos, which was unfortunately brought about by the Hunger Games. Was it the Hunger Games? Yeah, it was the Hunger Games. And then it was Breaking Dawn. I want to watch all the Twilight movies at one point. I think I've seen 10 minutes of the first one. But I think it would be very interesting to sit down and watch all of the Twilight movies back to back. But anyway, I think it would be great is at the top of the year you release, Avengers Doomsday. And then Avengers Secret Wars comes out. And by top of the year, I mean like March. But you do that. And then Secret Wars comes out September. I would have loved that for Harry Potter. I just finished rewatching Harry Potter movie 7 part 1. Book 7 part 1. I think they should. I remember watching those in theaters. I've seen every Harry Potter in theaters. But they should have done part 1 in March and another one in the fall. You would have. I know why they did it. I know why, business-wise. I'm just saying it'd be very fun for the consumer, for the person who's watching all this junk, to see that back to back. That's how the X movies did, right? X movie. What was it called? X, Maxine, and yeah, the movies from T West. Yeah, because X and Pearl came out in the same year, and then Maxine came out in 2024. X is the best one. I will tell you that I am 15 minutes in the Max scene, and I started it in November. I remember everything that happened. I know. There's like a guy or something. No. She's she just got she just did the audition for that adult film. Boom. I still remember. Things. And she's a black friend. Oh yeah, I remember things. Okay, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where you can see me talk to famous people. I just put out an interview with Matthew Broussard, who is a comedian that has been on late night. He has a new special out called Hyperbolic. Check it out. It's a great interview. I've met him before in person. I believe we shook hands that night. I don't remember. But you can hear the story of how we met twice on that very episode that released before this one. Next week, you will also get a couple of interviews, I think exactly 3, from some people. If I said a couple of interviews, you know for a fact. You know for a fact that it's, what's it called? The thing where I go talk to a lot of people at once. What is that called? I don't know. I'm so tired. So that's great. Check it out. Next week. If you want to see a video version of this show, as well as video versions of the other 2 podcasts, LinkedIn Logs, which is the Jobs podcast, and Late Night Lately, go to youtube.com/cpluscomedy. You can also watch video versions of the interviews of the famous people. Subscribe to those shows wherever you get your podcasts. I'm talking Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, TuneIn, at some point SiriusXM if they respond to me. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Blue Sky, Facebook at cpluscomedy, me at Chad Black White. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time. Bye.